42%. That is the share of businesses that in 2025 scrapped most of their AI initiatives. Not businesses that ignored AI, not businesses that were slow to start, businesses that went all in and then stopped. The number was 17% the year before. In 1 year, it more than doubled. $200 billion was spent on AI by businesses globally in 2024. And according to a report by S&P Global Market Intelligence, almost half of the companies that invested the most are now pulling back. Something is going wrong. And it is not what most people think. The story everyone is hearing is that businesses need to adopt AI, or they will fall behind. The data from 2025 tells a more complicated story. One that most business leaders are not ready to hear, and one that separates the companies that will still exist in 5 years from the ones that will not. The surface story about AI and business goes like this. Adopt AI fast. Move quickly. Do not let competitors get ahead. The companies that hesitate will be disrupted. Speed is everything. That story is creating more casualties than it is preventing. MIT's Nanda Initiative, the most comprehensive study of enterprise AI adoption published in 2025, analyzed hundreds of companies across industries. The findings stopped the business press cold. 95% of enterprise AI pilots are failing to deliver meaningful business impact, not underperforming, not meeting modified expectations, failing. Only 5% of AI implementations achieve what MIT calls rapid revenue acceleration. The other 95% fall into one of 3 categories: abandoned before completion, running but delivering no measurable return, or generating results too small to justify the investment. 5%. And the reason is not the technology. The technology works. The reason is how companies are approaching it. MIT found one pattern running through almost every failure. Companies are building their own AI tools instead of buying proven ones. Internal builds succeed only 1/3 as often as purchased solutions. And almost everywhere MIT's researchers went, that is exactly what companies were doing. The adoption trap is not about moving too slowly. It is about moving in the wrong direction. In 1995, every major company understood that the internet was important. The pressure to have a website, a digital strategy, an online presence was enormous. Consultants were billing millions. Board meetings were dominated by the question, how do we get online? Most companies built something. Most of what they built failed. The dot-com bubble was not caused by companies ignoring the internet. It was caused by companies misunderstanding what the internet actually required. They invested in digital storefronts without rethinking supply chains. They built websites without building the logistics to fulfill online orders. They moved fast into a technology they did not understand, and the speed of their movement amplified their mistakes rather than reducing them. The companies that survived and eventually dominated were not the ones that moved fastest in 1995. They were the ones that understood what the technology fundamentally changed about how business worked and built their entire operation around that understanding. The adoption trap of 1999 and the adoption trap of 2025 are the same trap. Move fast into a technology you do not understand. Build something impressive that does not connect to how value is actually created. Spend heavily. Measure nothing. Abandon when results do not materialize. The companies that will survive the AI transformation are not the ones adopting AI fastest. They are the ones understanding it deepest. The divide between AI winners and losers is already measurable, and the gap is wider than most people realize. McKinsey's 2025 research found that organizations with strong AI-focused leadership see 3.2 times higher profit margins than companies using traditional approaches to AI implementation. Not 3.2% higher, 3.2 times. The average cost of a failed AI transformation project is $15 million. 42% of companies scrapped most initiatives in 2025. Do the math on what that represents in wasted capital across the global economy. PricewaterhouseCoopers found that only 5% of companies achieve rapid revenue acceleration from AI. But that 5% is not evenly distributed. They share one characteristic. They started with a clear business problem, not with an AI solution. The companies winning with AI are not the ones that asked, "How do we use AI?" They are the ones that asked, "What specific problem costs us the most money, and can AI solve it?" Klarna is the most cited example. The Swedish fintech replaced the equivalent of 700 customer service agents with an AI system that now handles 70% of all customer interactions. But Klarna did not start with AI. It started with a specific, measurable problem. Customer service costs were too high, and resolution times were too slow. AI was the solution to a defined problem, not a strategy in itself. Gartner predicts that by 2028, at least 30% of enterprises that invested heavily in AI without a clear business case will have abandoned or significantly reduced their AI programs after failing to demonstrate value. The companies that survive will not be the ones that spent the most. They will be the ones that spent the most deliberately. Here is the dimension that is hiding inside all of this data. And once you see it, the next 5 years look completely different. The companies failing at AI are not failing because AI does not work. They are failing because they are trying to use AI to run the same business they already had. The companies winning with AI are not just using AI to do existing things faster. They are using AI to do things that were previously impossible, to serve customers they could never have served before, to enter markets that required scale they could never have achieved before, to make decisions with data they could never have processed before. The distinction sounds subtle. It is not. It is the difference between using a car to go faster on the same roads and understanding that cars make it possible to live somewhere different entirely. 78% of organizations now use AI in at least one business function, but most of them are using it to run the same business faster. And a faster version of a business model that AI is disrupting is not a survival strategy. The enterprises that survive the next 5 years will not be the ones that moved fastest. They will be the ones that used AI to become a fundamentally different kind of business. As one industry analyst put it in 2026, the vendors who survive will be those who can answer one simple question. What specific cost does this replace, or what specific revenue does this generate? Everything else is theater. Most companies are currently paying for theater. The companies that survived the internet did not build the best websites. They rethought what business was possible when everyone was connected. The signal is not in which companies are announcing AI strategies. It is in which companies are quietly reporting results. The 5% that MIT identified as achieving rapid revenue acceleration share specific behaviors. They empower line managers, not central AI labs, to drive adoption. They buy proven external tools rather than building internally. They start with one specific high-cost problem and measure the result before expanding. And they connect AI implementation directly to profit and loss accountability. The financial services companies integrating AI into compliance and risk management are not doing it because AI is exciting. They are doing it because compliance costs are their single largest operational expense, and AI reduces those costs by 40 to 60% in documented implementations. The logistics companies using AI for route optimization are not doing it because of a digital transformation mandate. They are doing it because fuel costs and driver time are their largest variables, and AI reduces both measurably. The signal is in the specificity. The companies winning with AI know exactly what problem they are solving and exactly what it is worth to solve it. The companies losing with AI are implementing AI and hoping the value appears somewhere. One does not. The other compounds every quarter. If you want to keep seeing the next layer before it becomes obvious to everyone else, this is where that happens, every week. Before the mainstream catches up, 42% of companies scrapped most of their AI initiatives in 2025. Not because AI does not work, because they walked into the adoption trap. They moved fast without understanding what they were moving toward. They built impressive demonstrations that connected to nothing. They spent heavily on technology and measured nothing about the business. The internet created the same trap in 1999. The companies that survived were not the ones with the best websites. They were the ones that understood that the internet made a fundamentally different kind of business possible and built that business instead. AI is doing the same thing now. 95% of pilots are failing, 3.2 times higher margins for the companies getting it right, an average cost of $15 million for the ones getting it wrong. The adoption trap is real. The data confirms it. And the companies that recognize it before their competitors do are building advantages that will be very difficult to close. The next layer was always there. Now you can see it.